Let's have a session on innovation. So the types of innovation, there's two types. There's product innovation and process innovation. Product innovation is when you find new or better products to ideally increase revenue, whilst process innovation is that you find new or better methods of production with the hope that you would reduce unit costs, essentially become more efficient. Why innovate? Well, ideally, you're going to look to increase revenues or reduce unit costs. And you might do it because you have increasing competition, changing consumer tastes, changing technology. Maybe it's a rapid change in that technology. Perhaps there's increasing ethical standards that you need to meet, or increasing ethical or environmental concerns that you need to therefore innovate to improve your products or processes. Also, it could be that shareholders are demanding higher dividends, so you therefore need to become more efficient or have greater revenues to enable you to finance those higher dividend requests from your shareholders. The advantages of innovation. So to improve product quality, and if you improve product quality, it may lead to increased sales, increased growth, and hopefully higher turnover. Also, you might want to innovate because it will improve your brand image and therefore give you as a business a competitive advantage. And that will allow you to charge premium prices, probably because you have a brand image and your price elasticity of demand has become lower, or another way of putting that, it's become more inelastic, price inelastic. And therefore that may allow you to initially use price skimming with your new releases. Disadvantages of innovation. Well, you're going to have initial costs because of research and development, because of market research you're going to have to do. And innovation takes time to come into fruition. The benefits may not be realised in the short term. And in the later term, you're going to have other costs because you may need to protect intellectual property, perhaps through patents or copyrights. Innovation considerations, or you could think of it as evaluation. Are your rivals innovative? How much innovation do you need to do? Do your consumers demand more innovative products? Is there finance available for you to be able to innovate? Are your staff skillful enough? Are management prepared to take risks to innovate? In order to become a more innovative organisation, you need to be thinking about these four methods. Bird K is a way of thinking about it, or K-Bird. Benchmarking, intrapreneurship, research and development, and Kaizen. They're ways that you could become more innovative. Let's look at each of these. So we'll start with benchmarking. Benchmarking is essentially the process of identifying high-level performance, and then you use that as a comparison when actual results are available. And if the business fails to meet the benchmark, management can then create new strategies to enable the business to meet the benchmark. The pros of this: it encourages analysis into results. If you've done your benchmarking, you know what top dollar performance is. Then if you don't meet that, you can analyse your results to see how you can meet that. And also, by having top elite standards that you're aiming for, it may lead to higher aspirations for the business and the employees of the business. Problems, things to consider: is the benchmark realistic? Have you compared it to businesses within your industry, or to just to other businesses generally? Because that could make a difference. You want to do it to your nearest rivals. And also, with benchmarking, it might encourage you to actually be less innovative because you just look at what other competitors are doing and you just simply copy them. The next method to becoming more innovative is intrapreneurship. And intrapreneurship is when employees apply entrepreneurial skills and attributes into their job roles, such as creative thinking, risk-taking, and problem-solving. And it's more likely that that will occur within a flat structure with lots of delegation, and it may be facilitated through the use of Kaizen quality circles. So there's frequent meetings to try and get small and continuous improvement within the business. Now, advantages of intrapreneurship: it could be motivating if they feel entrepreneurial within their roles, and it may lead to increased staff retention and foster a creative culture. Problems, though, of intrapreneurship: the loss of management control. If employees are becoming too entrepreneurial, it might slow down decision making, and it risks inconsistency in the output and the processes of the business if each employee is applying intrapreneurship within the business. The next method to becoming more innovative is BIRD, BIRD, research and development. And research development is the work directed towards the introduction, innovation and improvement of products or processes. And we can see here from a previous video that research and development may be used to foster product innovation, to find new or better products, and that may lead to better met customer needs, and that means that you may be able to increase your prices, improve reputation, and it increases the perceived added value of the business, leading to higher turnover, and that might lead to profit margins increasing. Or research and development can be used to foster process innovation to reduce unit costs, and that may reduce the waste in terms of raw materials, components, labour or even time, and that will allow you to reduce costs and then increase the efficiency in the manufacturing of the product, and that could lead to higher profit margins. Now, research and development, general pros: new products create a competitive advantage for the business. It might create a brand image for the business, and higher prices as a result could be charged. But there's always a risk of failure, and research development is very time consuming and is certainly very expensive. The final way to become more innovative is Kaizen. And Kaizen is the management philosophy to encourage small and consistent changes as opposed to infrequent large changes. The general idea is that you have the empowerment of workers throughout the business. There's a culture of making and listening to their suggestions, and it's facilitated through regular staff meetings, sometimes referred to as quality circles. Pros: it's motivating if you operate within a Kaizen environment. Less waste. Smaller changes are easier to implement as opposed to larger changes. And therefore there's a smaller capex, meaning there's a smaller capital expenditure. If you're only making small changes, your general expenditure on machinery, for example, will be smaller. Quality circles take a lot of time in the terms of the fact that you may have to do quality circles each day as opposed to a weekly meeting. So that's taking up more time and may lead to you being slightly less productive. And also there may be a resistance to working in this Kaizen manner. Now that you've got your product or process innovation, that is your intellectual property, your IP. So how could you protect that? Well, you want to protect that because you want to keep your competitive advantage, and you'll do that through patents or copyrights. Now, these essentially are the right to exclude others from copying your product or process innovation for a set period of time. And it tends to be that inventions will use patents, and music, books, literacy, artistic work will use copyrights. And the general advantages are that successful patents will grow market share, which means your rivals are unable to copy it, which means you can charge higher prices, widen your profit margins, and it might be that you put these profits that you've made back into the business in terms of reinvestment. However, intellectual properties, well, they're complex to achieve. Also, they're complex to prove, to get them, and you need to maintain them. When we're thinking about innovation in the functional areas, some small points we might want to consider. So within marketing, innovation requires market research. Within marketing also, if you are doing lots of innovation, it may lead to you having overweight amount of stars or question marks within the Boston matrix. In terms of human resources, it's more likely that you can be innovative with delegation in place, with soft HRM, with flatter structures, and with a culture that's more willing to take on risks. In terms of finance, the cost of research and development is likely to be expensive. Budgeting for benchmarking, you might want to consider that. And if you're going to encourage intrapreneurship, you need to accept there's going to be some failure within that, so you might want to have a cash buffer. And with operations, it may be that operations will likely, in terms of innovation, move you away from a labour-intensive business towards a capital-intensive business. Additionally, you might want to consider your supply chain within that if you are being more innovative. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you at the next sesh.